8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, this is Constitutional Attorney Catherine Henry. Welcome to this week's Constitution Segment Recap. This is just a simple recap, so to hear the entire discussion, watch the full episode that aired on Tuesday. All legal citations, graphics, and links are available in the slideshow, a link for which is in the description of this segment. So, please buckle up because in order to get this in 10 minutes or less, we are going to have to go quick. So this is, of course, the Constitution segment recap for episode 44, final constitutional review of Michigan and Florida proposals and candidates. This is, of course, just that Constitution segment recap, so please do make sure to watch that whole episode or listen to it. And voting straight party ticket is one thing, but this is really the Constitution segment recap video for people who prefer to vote specifically for the proposals and candidates that best support the Constitution and our God-given liberties. Of course, the full episode boiled down many hours of discussions in recent months down to a 1-hour summary, and we're going to do our best to boil it down to less than 10 minutes right here. So again, Michigan and Florida, two of the most important states in elections. And so this is talking about which statewide candidates and proposals to vote for. Make sure that you join us on Tuesdays on Twitter, Telegram, LinkedIn, True Social, YouTube community, or on our very own website, restorefreedomkh.com/updates, to go to and participate in and answer that true or false question. Of course, this week we talked about election challenges and concerns and whether or not just anybody can make reports of suspicious election activities or not. And this was a final constitutional review specifically for, although it's necessary for people outside of Michigan and Florida to listen in and hear about these discussions, but it's specific to several statewide candidates for the Michigan ballots and 3 Constitution ballot proposals for Michigan. And the same is true for Florida. Several statewide candidates will be discussing and 3 Constitution ballot proposals as well. The basics, again, we the people created our very form of government, and we did so through creating the Constitution. We get our rights from God, not the government. Government has no rights. In fact, government only has the powers which we specifically delegate to it. This means that government cannot act unless there is a specific power granted to it by the Constitution, and government is prohibited from doing anything that violates the U.S. or state constitutions, and every government official is sworn to the constitutional oath. In fact, the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. This means that no federal law, state constitutional provision, court order, or any other government action can be repugnant to the Constitution. And if it is repugnant to the Constitution, it's void on its face. Let's remember that all elections officials are required, just like regular government officials, all elections officials are required to take the constitutional oath of office. And we're skipping in conversation, but keeping in substance the specifics of the parts of the U.S. Constitution, state laws that talk about different aspects relating specifically to elections, but I wanted to have those in the slideshow for you to review later on your own. One big thing is, one of the Florida statutes involved here. Florida Statute 101.111 talks about the fact that if you're a registered voter in your county, you can challenge the right of any other person to vote in that county. There's just a procedure that you want to follow, but check out Florida Statute 101.111. There's also different laws on public inspection of ballots, which people are allowed to be in polling rooms and early voting areas. Of course, parts of the Michigan Constitution as well. And just a reminder that Florida, mixing Michigan and Florida today, that Michigan Secretary of State May 2022 manual, there's a lawsuit still pending, appeal still going, but the manual is not enforceable as written. The slideshow has the specifics as to why, but just remember that May 2022 manual is not binding on any Michigan citizen, including election challengers. Florida Prop 1, that's about flood mitigation, and the work done in regard to that cannot be used to increase your taxes based on the now increased value of your home. Please vote yes on that, on Florida Prop 1. Florida Prop 2 is to get rid of the Constitution Revision Commission. It totally leaves intact all the other ways that we can amend the Florida State Constitution, including the Citizens Initiative and the Legislative Joint Resolution, which is how all three of this year's Florida constitutional ballot measures got on the ballot to begin with. So please vote yes to Prop 2 because the Constitution Revision Commission was unconstitutional from the beginning anyway. So we need to get that off the books, so to speak. Florida Prop 3 is that special increased homestead exemption that is specific to classroom teachers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, corrections officers, EMTs, paramedics, child welfare services professionals, active military, and Florida National Guard members. And although it is a very good idea, in a lot of respects, it's not following what government's main purpose is, but more importantly, it violates equal protection that we are guaranteed in the U.S. and Florida Constitution. So please make sure to vote no, because you, as a registered voter in Florida, have a duty to protect and defend the U.S. and state constitutions, and that means you have to vote no on Prop 3 in Florida. Michigan's Proposal 1 to change the Constitution there is about the term limits and financial reporting requirements. And as great of an idea as that may sound on the surface, it is not a good idea. So please vote no on that. Certainly it could be rewritten and brought back to the voters in a way that would be constitutional and actually have teeth to it as well. Prop 2 is the voter ID, state-funded absentee ballot postage, all that, as well as Facebook-funded or Zuckerbucks being allowed to be used in the ways that it was in the 2020 elections. So please say no to Zuckerbucks and all the other unconstitutional aspects of Michigan's Prop 2. But Prop 3 is the big one in my eyes because it doesn't just codify Roe v. Wade and the supposed right to an abortion. It does much more than that. It allows abortion on demand for babies born and unborn. It prohibits even licensing or regulation of abortion, sterilization, sex changes, infertility care. So anybody walking in off the street and putting a sign out saying, I do abortions, for example, they're no longer allowed to be inspected by the health department or meeting any kind of minimal requirements or anything. It also prohibits us from protecting our children from sterilization, sex change procedures, contraceptives, abortions, sex with pedophiles, and much more. It allows parents to abandon their children, so abuse and neglect cases will be no more because you can walk away from your parental rights, your parental obligations at any time just because you feel like it. And it requires society to pay for all of these things, literally, financially. But moving on to state Supreme Court justices, there are 30 states holding elections for state Supreme Court in 2022. 25% of the state Supreme Court justices in the U.S. are up for election or even retention election this year. So please make sure that you understand your judicial selection method and realize that, for example, if you are in Florida and it's a retention election, there's only one justice listed. That does not mean that person is unopposed and your vote doesn't matter. No, what it means is that your vote does matter, and that if they don't get enough votes, at least 50% of people voting yes to keep them, then they're out and another one is going to be selected. Michigan Supreme Court candidates, There are 5 on the ballot. You can only choose 2. For reasons we've discussed in in episodes past. Brian Zara, please make sure to vote yes for him, as well as voting for Paul Hudson in Michigan for State Supreme Court. If you are in the correct location to be able to vote in the 3rd District Court of Appeals race in Michigan, please vote for Judge Vogt. And like I said, with those retention elections in Florida, these 5 justices out of the 7 are up for retention election in Florida. So there's nobody opposing them, but you need to make sure that they are in fact doing a good job in order to earn that spot to stay there. So Charles Kennedy, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, please vote no on keeping or retaining him. Same for Ricky Polston and Jorge Labarga, who is touted as a great one to keep by abortion rights advocates. But please make sure to vote yes on retaining or keeping Justice John Daniel Coriel and Jamie Rutland Groshans. Please vote yes on them. Of course, for governor, for not just the obvious, oh, well, yes, it's Ron DeSantis, of course, it's a yes vote. We actually had discussion, at least to some degree, on these other candidates. But yes, please vote for Ron DeSantis for governor in Florida, for Ashley Moody for Florida Attorney General, Jimmy Patronis for Florida CFO, Wilton Simpson, unfortunately, with the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture. Jumping over to Michigan, I do ask you to support Matthew DePerno, even though, no, I don't think he's going to do a stellar job. In my honest opinion, I think he is the best, and we talked about that in more detail in the full episode. For Michigan Governor, same thing. I'm asking you to support Tudor Dixon, even though I do have my concerns. She is still the best candidate. Michigan Secretary of State, quite honestly, no concerns. I think Christina Caramo is going to be a phenomenal Secretary of State. And other candidates to remember, I forgot to double check on this. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if I have this correct wording here for Tammy Carlone, but wherever Tammy Carlone is on your ballot, please vote for her if you're in the state of Michigan, as well as Lena Epstein, who is running on the University of Michigan Board of Regents side of things. And remember, as far as our true or false question of the week. Only official election challengers and poll watchers can file challenges or complaints about suspicious election activities. That, of course, the answer was false, because every voter has the responsibility to keep a watchful eye and say something if you see something. The procedures vary by state, but if all else fails, report concerns of suspicious election activity to your local sheriff so you can do your part, because elections do matter and we need to stop the steal in 2022. For more information, please go ahead and click on the slideshow. At the back, you'll see several pages where I have the title and the link for different full episodes, as well as different smaller segments that we have. Some biblical insights, freedom fighting tools, full episodes, Constitution segment recaps, you name it, several different versions and pages of these. And finally, for more information, make sure to watch that full episode from Tuesday, participate in yesterday's Way to Get Involved challenge, and make sure to check back tomorrow for our Friday's freedom fighting tools. Thank you so much for joining us today for, unfortunately, our much longer than normal Constitution segment recap video, but we appreciate you hanging in there with us to get this great information out to you. Have an absolutely wonderful day.